Okay, so now I've given you one example of a very useful verb, the to be verb. Now we're going to go through the different verb conjugations. So we're going to go through the active, present tense verb conjugations. Okay, so here's a verb kind of just in the middle of nowhere here. Well, in the middle of the screen, it's not in the middle of nowhere, but anyway. And that is pronounced θέλω, I want. And here we have you want, θέλεις. So the only difference between these two verbs is you've got the omega here and the is on the end. So the o and the is. So this letter determines who is doing the wanting. Because that this o noise is on the end, you know that it's I who wants. And the same for this. Because there's an is on the end, you know it's you. So again, like the last example, you don't need two words. For example, to say I want, you don't need to say the word I. You can just say the verb with its correct ending. Here's we want, θέλουμε. You all want, θέλετε. And again, this is the polite ending, if you're speaking in polite form. It's probably better just to memorise this one first. It's best to be overly polite than underly polite. They want, θέλουν. He, she, it wants, θέλει. So here are the different endings for the verb I want or want. However, this is just one pattern. So you've got o, ume, is, ete, I, un. There are several different patterns, and that's what conjugations are. It's these patterns for the endings of verbs, and that's what we're going to learn about. So these are all part of the first conjugation endings. So there are many verbs in Greek which follow this pattern and have these endings. Now we're going to go through second conjugation. Okay, so here we have examples of the first conjugation which I just shared with you. So we have the omega on the end that you'll have seen in the last diagram. I'll just go back quickly. There you go. So these are all the same first conjugation pattern. However, here we have an alpha omega, and the accent is over the alpha. So this is no longer following this pattern, and it has a completely different pattern. This is the word pinao, I am hungry. Here's another verb which follows this second conjugation pattern, milao, I speak. Here's another one, I love, agapao. Ooh, and now we have another different one. Although it looks similar to the first, there's actually an accent on the end, which means you would read it not akolutho, but akolutho. And that's how you can tell the difference between first and third, the accents on the end. Here's another example, odigo, I drive. Here is another conjugation. This is the fourth and the last conjugation. Don't worry, this not anymore. And you might think, wait, this looks exactly the same. But the difference is you have a vowel here, whereas here you have a consonant. So there are very few verbs which follow this pattern, but they are very useful. For example, I eat, I say, words you use all the time. That's leo. Okay, so let's just focus on second conjugation now. So, as I said, the alpha omega, that that shows if it's second conjugation, that's how you know. And here's the pattern for all the different types of words. So if you wanted to say we are hungry, you would say pin ame, piname. If you wanted to say they speak, which would be here, anne, you would say mil, anne, milane. If you wanted to say he, she, it loves, it would be not agapao, but agapai or agapa. Lots of these are kind of just interchangeable, so sometimes you use the epsilon on the end, sometimes you use that. If someone knows some specific rules, then feel free to comment. I know a few rules, but not all. Okay, yep, so that is second conjugation. Now we have third conjugation. I follow, ακολουθώ, and I drive, οδηγώ. And here is the chart. So you'll notice that you have the accent closer to the end on these. It's actually on the end here, so o, is, I, and then it's second to the end on these, so ite, une. So if you wanted to say they all follow, I'll give you a little bit of time just to try and work it out. It would actually be ακολουθείτε. They all follow. Sorry, did I just get that wrong? Did I say you all follow? That would be ακολουθείτε, you all follow. They all follow would be ακολουθούν. What would be he drives? It would be οδηγεί. And then finally, we drive. It would be οδηγούμε. So that's third conjugation. Now we're going to fourth conjugation. So as I said, there's some few but quite useful verbs follow this pattern. So we have I eat, tro, and I say leo. And these fourth conjugations are often irregular, so they change in patterns that you just have to memorize. They're a bit rebellious, they don't follow the pattern. But here is the chart for the different endings. So I eat would be tro, we eat would be trome, you eat would be tros, you all eat trotte, he, she, it eats troi, and they eat tronne. And the same for I say, leo, lemme, les, lette, lei, lenne. So how would you say he, she, it says? It would be le, I, lei. How would you say you all say? It would be lette, lette. How would you say they eat? Should be tronne, tronne. And now we eat. Be tromme, tromme. So now we've gone through all the conjugations. Woo! What I'd recommend is just learn the verbs. Well, you can memorize the charts, that's fine, that's useful in the beginning. But also what's useful is to learn the forms of the verbs that you use the most. So, for example, if you're the kind of person and you just notice that you're constantly asking other people, what are you eating? And you're speaking to a few people, then just learn how to say, what are you all eating? Just type it into Google Translate. It would be ti trotte. And then just memorize it on a flashcard as ti trotte. And you'll remember that the fourth conjugation, you all, is te, because you use it in the example. So I would recommend learn this in examples, not just from the charts. The more you practice it, it just becomes second nature. So principles again. Same as the last one. You don't have the two words I and then make. You can just put it into one word. So for example, kano. The ending of the verb is changed according to who's performing the verb. So for example, again, kano, I do, kanome, we do, the ending changes. The you all form is the polite form of the verb, so that would be kannete. To ask a question, you simply add semicolon on the end, which is a question mark. Know the difference. So you don't need to say, do you make a cake? You just say, you make cake. It's a lot to do with how you say it. So if you say, you make cake, you're saying it's a statement, but if you say, you make cake, then it's a question. You can just tell from the way it's said. And the Greeks are quite, what's the word? They gesture a lot, they use their hands, they use their faces, and you can tell if it's a question. And then the final one, present continuous and present simple is the same in Greek. So I walk, pepartao, is the same as I am walking, pepartao. So you don't need to learn the difference. It is different in other tenses, so like future and past and things like that. And there are different ways of emphasizing that it's continuous, but as generally, rule of thumb, these two are pretty much the same. So you can use this for both of these in present tense. Remember, in present tense. So let's do a quick practice. We've covered a lot of information. If you want to go back and use some of the grammar charts, please do. I think the trick to memorizing things is just seeing it enough times, not just giving yourself a headache hoping that your memory will remember what you were looking at. So you're not going to do these right now, but these are words that we've already used in this presentation. So you can go find those verbs from earlier on, and I want you to work out what these verbs would be in Greek. How would you say all these things? And I would recommend that you pause the video now so you can do so. Okay, I'm presuming that you've paused it, or if you can't be bothered, then that's fine. And I'm going to show the answers now. So you can pause that again and check to see how you've done. And if you have any questions, then please comment on the video. So that is an introduction to verbs.